This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1162, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and guess what? He is not with us today. Jesse's not here. So joining me from Nashville, artist, producer, mogul, Derek Minor.
What up, dog?
Also there in Nashville, our managing editor, Downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
And in LA, you know from Social Club Misfits, it's Marty.
Indubitably.
Jesse will be on the next episode. He had a work emergency. He's very stressed out. Thoughts and prayers, buddy. It's all right that you're missing. He's very stressed out right now. So anyway, the show must go on.
Show must go on.
But you know what? Before we even get into that, I'm at my wit's end right now. Like,
do tell.
How many spam calls do y'all get a day?
I got one yesterday, and it was under my business manager's name also.
Oh,
I don't.
They're getting sophisticated.
So, all right, I have a missed call from a friend last night. It's at like 3 a.m.
Kirk Franklin.
It wasn't Kirk, but if Kirk called me at 3 a.m, I actually would have got up and answered that.
100%, baby. Yeah.
I didn't know. So this guy is like, he's important, but maybe not Kirk Franklin.
Not Kirk Franklin.
Right?
Got it.
Not
But
Kirk
right,
important.
anyway. So I wake up and I see a missed call from my homie at 3 a.m. I call him back, or I text him. I say, hey, bro, you good? Like, you called me at 3 a.m. This was a text. He said, I was just calling you back.
Oh.
I was like, wait a minute. So I looked down at my phone. I'm like, maybe there was a butt dial. But there's no registered call from my phone. So someone has hijacked my number. And called my friend from my number.
Wow. That's scary, actually.
The weird thing is, I know they can ghost numbers. Like a lot of scammers will use the actual phone number from the bank to call somebody and say, there's a problem with your account kind of thing. Well, I've heard about that. The question I have is, how did they ghost your number and know to call your friend with it?
Yes, that's the part.
That is crazy. So I'm either he's been hacked and somebody went through his phone to call him with numbers that's familiar, or someone has maybe just by chance and happenstance, because, they spoof random numbers.
Yeah.
So maybe they just randomly spoofed my number and randomly hit someone that I knew. That's the only thing I could think of.
That's one in a billion.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's happened. Bro, see, that's the world we live in. We live in AI diss tracks. We live in your phone number is not your phone number.
This been happening for a little bit, though.
This is too much.
I will say, as someone who knows how to find people online, it's not that hard to
Wait
figure
a
out.
second, Emily. You can't
What a
just brush
tagline.
over
Knows how to
that.
find people online.
Are you like a fixer? Or are you like a
No,
hacker? Is that
just
your
an
side job?
investigator.
You weren't with us with the Tinder last week, the swipe left game that we played.
No, I just I think we might have talked about this before. There was one time Cameron got a number from someone. He didn't know who it was. I found out pretty quickly.
We were in a meeting. We didn't send this on the podcast. We were in a meeting. With Emily, I get a text saying happy birthday from a number that was not in my phone. And I was like, how would this person be knowing it's my birthday, have my number, and I don't have them saved? She's like, give me the number. So I said it to her, and within 2 seconds, she goes, do you know this name? It was my aunt.
Wow.
And she does she live at so-and-so? Is her daughter so-and-so? Like, Emily, full on traced my family tree, based on this one text.
I need to utilize this resource. Yeah.
It's the people that owe me money that I ain't been able to get in contact
Listen,
with.
I think in another life, I was probably like a PI or something like that. I could probably figure
Sherlock
it out.
Holmes.
Yeah. So all that to say, and again, I guess it's like a hobby of mine or something, but it's not hard to find that information because a lot of it is public record. So if you're a scammer, it'll show, there's websites that will kind of almost show you associates of that person and their number. So there's also a very chance, there's a chance they maybe spoofed your number and then they just looked up known associates and are scamming you that way. I hope I'm not giving scammers ideas. Please don't do this.
But the known associates that you found for the number that we just talked about was relatives. These people have been on mortgages with this person, car notes, things like that. They were in the bank records associates. His random contact off his phone wouldn't be on the internet associated with Derek. I feel like one of y'all's phones, like your contacts got somehow accessed.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's bothersome to me right now. I'm trying to think, like, is there another app I can grab that could like block that from happening?
I think we just need to go back to snail mail. I think that's the only proven
Nice.
way to communicate with one another.
You know, this happened to me in like 2009, where somebody I did not like called me, and then I picked up and he was like, you called me, and I didn't like this guy, and nobody knew at the church that I this was like my arch enemy. And
You had an
I
arch
was
enemy
like,
at church.
oh, for sure I did. For sure I did. If I knew his name, I'd say it out loud because that's how much I don't like him. But it's been 10 years now. It's been over 20 years actually. But I didn't like this kid at all. He was just a smug jerk type guy. You know, like I'm like, you work, you know what I'm saying? You work at Old Navy. You're not, I don't know why you're so smug, you know? But anyway, so he called me and then I picked up and I was like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, you called me. I thought he was joking. And we got into like a verbal, and we didn't know that a bunch of people were listening in the church. They just thought it was like a funny joke. And they're hearing me throw all types of words around that were not good.
Not church words.
Now I'm kind of nervous. I'm like, dang, is somebody in my phone at all times? Is that what's happening?
I just don't like, I put my voicemail thing of like, hey, I'm not available. If you want to contact me, you can email me or text me. Like, that's it.
Right.
And then if they text me, I'll know, you know, I'll engage with this person or whatever. But like, I don't answer my phone. Like, I just don't answer it. The only person I answer for is my kid or Emily. That's it. Like,
right. It's nuts, bro. And that explains why you never pick up the phone from me.
that's true.
That explains it.
Okay, if you somehow spoof my number, he'll answer for you. You can do that.
I don't believe it. Derek wouldn't be calling me right now. This is really Derek. I don't trust it. He'll text me if he needs me. Anyway. All right. Well, we have a great show in store for you today. Coming up later, we talked to Mat Kearney. He has a new album out today. Man, we've been covering Matt. He's an OG indie artist.
OG. Yeah, for sure.
Legend. Like, we've been covering him since the mid 2000s. Anyway, that's coming up. Also at the end of the show, we have your feedback, but stay tuned. Coming up next, it's Relevant Buzz. You're listening to St. Vincent. The song is Big Time Nothing. That's my high school nickname. Okay, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week, Emily.
Yeah. First things first, Russell Brand got baptized on Sunday.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
He posted about it on Instagram on Friday, saying he was planning on doing it. And in that video, he talked about how baptism was explained to him as like an opportunity to leave the past behind and be reborn in Christ's name. So then on Monday morning, he shared another video reflecting on his decision and why he wanted to do it. And we're actually going to play a little bit of that clip here.
Yesterday, I got baptized, and it was an incredible, profound experience. And many of you will have had your own experiences of baptism and will therefore know what I'm talking about. Many aspects of it were very intimate and personal. The truth is this: as a person that has in the past taken many, many substances and always been disappointed with their inability to deliver the kind of tranquility and peace and even transcendence that I always felt I've been looking for, something occurred in the process of baptism that was incredible, overwhelming, literally overwhelming, because I was obviously underwater and it was the River Thames at some points. So I felt changed, transitioned.
He goes on the video to mention some more about his past, which, he has struggled a lot with addiction and drugs. And actually, when he spoke to Relevant back in 2017, he mentioned that while he was in rehab, that's when he sort of started learning more about the Christian faith and about God. And that faith was a really instrumental part in him being sober, which I believe he is now 15 years sober.
Oh, wow.
So happy for him. But yeah, he wanted to get baptized to really set an example for his children and just show sort of the importance of taking that step of faith.
And we've been covering this a long time. And, so I kind of hold at arm's length whenever a big celebrity who kind of hit rock bottom is now doing a big Christian gesture, that kind of a thing. It's like, let's see if it sticks. And hey, time will tell. And I'll pray for Russell that it does stick. And I think it's great that he's making public declarations of faith. But to be fair, we also know that he's explores a lot of different spiritual practices and meditations and different religions. He's kind of like cherry picked some things from. So I don't know, is this like he was testing all the waters and now he's found Jesus and this is where he's going to land? Or is this just another hat he's trying on? I don't know, but he said some compelling stuff and it's interesting. So we'll cover
He's on the journey, baby. He's on the journey.
Aren't we all?
It is interesting just to hear him talk about this, because I think a lot of people think about him when he was at his like peak of his career, when he was making non-Christian movies.
Yeah. And comedy specials that were very, very off color. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's interesting to see this change over time. And yeah, like you said, hopefully it'll stick. We'll definitely keep our eye on it.
He's saying all the right things. He's talking Jesus. He's not talking spirituality. He's talking, Christian stuff now. So we'll see. Anyway.
All right. Okay. Moving on. I have a very surprising new study that I want to share with y'all. Apparently 3 out of 4 Gen Z are actually pretty happy.
Okay. That's surprising.
Why?
Wait, hold on. I thought we were saying,
why?
We've been saying for 5 years, like Gen Z, COVID, economic uncertainty, climate change, gun violence, like Gen Z is medicated, anxious, depressed, unhappy. That's what we've been reporting. What are you talking about? They're happy.
Yeah, so yes to everything you just said. That stuff is all true. But there's a study from Gallup that they looked into the happiness of different generations. And they found that despite everything you just said, Gen Z is actually pretty happy these days.
Wow. That's good.
So according to the study, 25% of Gen Z say they're very happy. 48% say they're somewhat happy. Only 12% said that they're unhappy. So Gallup looked into why that is, because like we mentioned, they're struggling with mental health. And a big reason why they're saying they're happy these days is because they have found a lot of motivation and purpose that is kind of leading to that happiness. So over 60% of Gen Z said they were happy because they feel like they do something interesting every day and they're motivated by either school or their work. And 73% said that they're doing important things with their lives and that makes them feel like their life matters. But that's not just it. So 2 other major factors is they're also getting enough sleep and they're getting enough relaxation. And those are all 3 together is really what's leading to more happiness. And I think that's something that all of us could probably benefit from.
So having purpose, having rest, like what do you mean by rest? Like enough sleep?
Enough sleep.
What is the study? Okay. Yeah. So they're sleeping. And then what do you mean by relaxation? This was in the study?
Yeah, it was in the study. Just taking time to pursue their hobbies or to do things that get them out of stressful modes like school and stuff. But, just relaxing and whatever that looks like for them.
I probably would say, my brother-in-law, he lives with us now. And he is a very happy dude. And he's in his last year of college and he's always happy, actually. And he goes to therapy. This his school, UCLA. They offer free therapy for him. He's got an incredible network. I think also like with him, like with COVID, it brought a lot of his friends like a lot closer together. Like almost how when I first started going to church when I was like 19, what kept me at church was a community, small group, really kept me at church. Literally, the only reason I kept going to church is because you just love the people in your small group. You start learning, you're excited to go. There's, you're single, you're meeting all these new people. He's having that same experience in his school. So like every week they have a new event and they have really good food and he loves it. And he has this really great sense of community that I feel like I never had outside of church. For me,
but for Gen Z statistically is the most isolated. They're most their relationships are more on their phone than in social media than it is in person. I think your brother-in-law might be the anomaly in that sense. Like everybody needs community, but statistically, Gen Z hasn't typically found it. I think it's interesting that this happiness study from Gallup honed in on they have purpose in their work. They are sleeping enough, and the people that are happy are sleeping enough and they have relaxation. Is that a Gen Z thing or is that like human? Like I feel like any generation, if you have those 3 things, you'd be happier, right? I mean, I don't know. So maybe it's a universal truth and Gen Z is just figuring it out.
But I think it is surprising, like you said, like I think when people think about the happiness of Gen Z, because we know that they are the generation to most likely struggle with mental health, they've had a very tumultuous upbringing. We just kind of assume that they're not happy. And so I'm encouraged to find out that actually they are pretty happy. They've cracked the code. They've figured out what they need to do. And I will say to Marty's extent, there are other studies, it wasn't mentioned in Gallup, but there are other studies that show that about 60% of Gen Z either is in therapy or they use medication to deal with mental illness. And so that obviously will have an impact on things. So I'm glad that Gen Z is doing what they need to do to find happiness. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Well, also things are changing. So when you think about like right after COVID, it was, Gen Z is everybody is messed up. Well, I guess the byproduct of everybody being frustrated and messed up is they start finding solutions. So you're thinking we're 3 or 4 years later, they've did the work to find the solutions. And now you're starting to see some of the fruit of some of those solutions, which is, like you said, work-life balance, getting therapy, medication if you need it. So we're starting to see some of the good impact of those things.
Gen Z is like the most awake generation. Is that just me? Like they're aware of everything that's happening. All the stuff that we took our time to learn about. Like when we got older, we found out about things. They know about it now. Like my brother-in-law is really into, all those protests. He's telling me all about it at school and things like that. As a kid, I was like, we had 9/11 in like middle school, and that was a big deal, and that was pretty much it until like Columbine and certain things. Like there was one event, they're aware of all of it, and they're like really plugged in, and they understand the pulse of like the culture. It's interesting.
But that's also studies have shown that gives more anxiety because more than the human brain was meant to know. Like they're so plugged in. So I like Derek, what you were saying is interesting. Like I wonder if that's it. Like they had so much thrown at them. They're like, we've got to be intentional about this. I need to figure out what my purpose is. I need to get up in the morning and have something to do. I need to like have a direction because the world's going crazy. I can't just like float. Whereas like, I feel like millennials were like, disruptive and like, I'm not going to play by your 9-to-5 corporate agenda. And it was disruptors and new industries and gig economy and all that kind of stuff. And they were like, just trying to say like, I'm not going to fit the mold. And now Gen Z is going, I need to figure out something here. I got to build something, a new foundation kind of a thing.
It is interesting. Like you using the word disruptor, like makes me think like kind of going back to what Marty was saying, like millennials disrupted things because not that there weren't things going on, but there were maybe less things we were aware of going on. And so they felt the need to disrupt more. Whereas Gen Z, very aware that things are incredibly disruptive. Like 2020 blew up everything, like economically, socially, politically. A lot of things came to light that they're like, I don't need to cause any further disruption. I need to figure out like my peace and my purpose in the midst of this disruption going on.
Well, I think millennials kind of found a middle ground also of things sort of being established. Like we saw a lot of changes. They were very incremental. They weren't like boom overnight. Right. So like it's easy to disrupt in a place where things are pretty much solid, even though things are changing naturally. These guys had to take all of the changes that we experienced in like 10 years and deal with them in like 3. Like
that is dead on because think about it,
all this stuff.
It went from
stuff,
9/11 to the economic collapse in 2008 to 10, and all of a sudden mass layoffs, recession, the whole thing. So they're coming out of college and high school into an economy where there's no jobs, and so they're like, well, I can't rely on my parents' life plan. Like what they did, went to college, had a stable job, retired at this age. Like the economy has just imploded on me for an entire generation. So gig economy, entrepreneurialism, innovation. So that became their thing. But like you said, what did we just say? 2001 to 2008 to social media in 2013. It's 12, 15 years of the world changing. You're right. COVID was 4 years ago, and they're like, we can't just sit around.
My brother-in-law didn't get a graduation, and and then some schools aren't doing another graduation for college. So like the same generation of kids that went from high school to college are not getting like celebration. Like, I wonder what that's going to do. I think about him. I'm like, wow, like this kid is a lot more, very resilient, I could say. They're a very resilient generation.
Someone also pointed at and just kind of adding into how much this Gen Z's generation has had to deal with. This is also the Sandy Hook generation.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like they have had a lot of trauma to process, and while their brains are still just trying to develop. And so I do think, I think it's what we're saying. Like they've had to deal with so much in a short amount of time that they're like, well, I can't keep living like this. I have to find purpose. I have to find peace some way.
Yeah.
Sounds like a song you just quoted right there.
I might have.
I gotta find peace some way.
It's a Taylor Swift
put
lyric.
Put in UDO, Cam.
Yeah. But I could. I think that's interesting. I literally for years since COVID, we've been covering kind of the plight of, Gen Z, and they have it worse than anybody. And it seems like they're kind of dusting themselves off and saying I'm going to find my purpose. I'm going to not burn myself out like people 10 years older than me. I'm going to have balance. I'm going to have relaxation, and I'm going to get up every day with something to do. I love that. Good for them.
Kids are going to be all right.
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah, we can't just speak for that. Legally, you can't say that.
Because you're going to get sued 10 years from now if somebody's
legally
fall apart. Emily said officially it would be all right.
Oh, man. They're going to call you from my number and do that.
Oh, goodness.
Wait, what was the lyric? That Emily said?
What was it? It was happy and healthy. It was something. It sounded like
gotta find peace somewhere.
It kind of reminded me of that song. It's like you gotta be cool, you gotta be down, you gotta be together. Yeah. Such a good song. I went to Marshall's the other day and I heard that. I was like, such a good song here.
UDO's doing its thing. We'll check in on it in a minute.
You gotta be cool. Right. You gotta be.
Emily, what's the last thing?
While UDO's making that song, we're gonna move on to the last item. We were actually thinking about covering this last week, and I'm so glad we didn't, because now I get to bring it up this week when the story is a lot funnier. So last week, a website called CatholicAnswers.com announced that they were debuting an AI priest named Father Justin. Now, Father Justin, obviously not an actually ordained priest, but he was created for people to ask questions about their Catholic faith and, get some more knowledge.
So a spiritual advisor, but AI.
I love this idea.
And kind of like filling in for the questions you might ask your priest. I get it.
Right,
okay,
right.
Cool.
Very cool.
Like educational questions, right? So
He's trying to be efficient. He tired of answering these random text messages about
he doesn't want the 3 a.m. call. Go to Father Justin.
Your priest. Yeah, your actual priest. Yeah, leave me alone with those basic questions. Go ask the AI priest. Got it. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, what happened? You said it got weird.
Well, yeah. So over the last week, people have been posting their interactions with Father Justin online, asking just general faith things and kind of seeing, checking, is he actually right? Is he going off rails? He went off the rails. So things started going sideways when people started asking things like confession. Like one woman admitted that she hadn't been in a few years and she was kind of wondering, what does that say about me? And Father Justin said that was okay. And he could actually facilitate confession right there. So they started doing it, and he offered penance and all basically had a whole confession thing, which is something only an actually ordained priest can do in the Catholic faith. So that was red flag number 1. Then someone was asking questions about baby baptisms, and Father Justin said, yes, it's totally fine to baptize your baby in Gatorade. Again, obviously not
He's
true.
sick of y'all too.
They weren't ready for us. They weren't ready for us.
Y'all done made the AI sick of y'all in less than a year.
Yeah.
That's why you should be okay. Leave your pastor alone. He's going through a lot right now. Look, if you made your pastor been rocking with you for a whole decade, listen to all your questions. He ain't told you to baptize your child in Gatorade once.
Really, what's wrong with
sick
that?
of y'all in 1 week.
What's wrong with that?
Father John, I really want my new baby Tommy to become an athlete when he's older. What can we do?
Yeah.
Well, you can baptize him in Gatorade.
How was LeBron baptized? Let's figure that one out first.
That's what it was. Exactly. So he just started saying things, and someone actually straight up asked him, are you a real priest? And he said, yes, my friend, I am as real as the faith we share. So he's Father Justin's taking his role very seriously here.
The AI said, "I am as real as our faith."
Yeah.
Oof.
So
I can't wait for the
that how you want.
Scientology bot to develop too.
Well,
I'm going to go crazy on that one.
Thankfully, Catholic Answers stepped in and they've officially, or I guess virtually, defrocked Father Justin.
He got fired after a week.
Yeah. So before, like, you know, he had this like virtual persona in like the, you know, the priest gear that we think about. Now, when you go look at him, he's wearing like business casual. So he does not look like a priest at all. He's just a normal
cool priest.
He's a cool priest. He's a modern priest, if you will. So,
not a regular priest.
But it does make me think, like,
priest. Yeah.
I feel like people are not going to give up on AI priests and like AI priests, pastors, Scientologists. It's coming.
No, that priest data is somewhere floating around the computer. He's going to be calling people from the real priest phone pretty soon.
Yep.
It's going to be an AI. He's going to be hitting people up.
He's like, do you have something to confess?
He's going to sound like
That's
Tupac.
wild. That's so wild that that's able to happen.
He say he'll sound like Pop.
Imagine you're able to make your priest sound however you want. Can I have Leonard Neroy on this thing?
Can I get Barry White?
Yeah.
Why not? Tailor your spiritual advisor experience. Like, hey.
It's just too sexy. That's why. You can't have Barry White doing your
It's
Says
too
who?
sexy.
your sins are
Says who?
forgiven.
Teddy Pendergrass was a preacher. Who put Teddy Pendergrass? Try a little tenderness.
All right, here we go. AI. It wrote two songs that are uploading real quick.
My songs? Am I a songwriter now? Well, I guess
you
Amy
are.
wrote them,
You are a songwriter now.
What was the prompts of like music style do you pick?
Just pop, but it gave me electro pop and indie pop. So here's one.
Rising up, breaking through. Oh yeah. Purpose found in what we choose. So clear. Looks like we found joy, no limit. In every little moment, living it. Yup, with our minds in such a flow. On a journey that just feels so.
Reminds me of Super Chick. Do you remember Super Chick?
Super Chick,
yeah.
for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super Chick.
Barlow
man.
Girl.
Wow.
Yeah, that
Barlow
was
Girl. Wow.
that was an era. All right, this one's the indie pop one called Glowing Paradigms.
Right from the start, we're the voice diving deep within, taking breaks, we're on the mend, we're golden, glowing, that's our truth.
That's our truth.
We're not defined by old paradigms.
Dude, that
It's like Laney.
No, that one's not good. That
Super
one's not
Chick
good.
was better.
those synth notes were kind of tight. I love. Is that Elevation Worship? The youth band you said? Is that
Rhythm. Rhythm.
The first one sounded like Miley, like a 09 Miley Cyrus to me. That
Yeah.
one sounded
Yeah.
like
See You Again,
M83,
yeah.
like Midnight City type. Like that's like you know they talk about right now. It's like, hey, 2010, you just had to be there, where everyone was wearing skinny jeans and like it was a certain era. Yeah, you just had to be there.
I'm seeing all these people posting like retro photos of like the 2000s on Instagram and stuff right now. Listen, I lived through it. I mean, Relevant started in 2000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this was
Peak.
Hey,
Peak
we haven't
open,
reached our
peak
peak yet.
no collar.
I'll get TikToks of people that were like, oh God, I wish I was older in like the early 2010s. And I'm like,
No, you don't.
I feel like the Crypt Keeper because I was like, I was in high school and college then. Like,
Yeah.
what do you
I'm
how are
looking
we
at
already
these photos.
romanticizing this?
I'm like looking at these photos of like 2008 or whatever, and I'm like, I do not remember it like that.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
like you just
like
see
good.
like. No, like I mean, like the fashion was way worse than I remember. You know, like there's
Everybody
way
had
more colors.
scarves. Everybody had scarves.
It was bad.
Everyone's
Everybody
like
had
cherry
scarves.
picking the 2000s fashion because they're
was
picking
bad.
the things that like kind of work now. But it's
Yeah.
like, no, I remember wearing dresses and jeans. That was an
Yeah.
ugly look then. It'd be an ugly look now.
You're forgetting the swag era. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Where everyone wore like shades with literal shades on them because Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? Like everything was glow in the dark at that time. I don't know why. Everything was
It
neon,
was
glow in the dark.
Like, wait, I actually wouldn't be mad if that came back.
Every Christian event was like glow in the dark, and it was like a neon something.
You have to be a light in the dark.
That's exactly what it was.
We
Exactly
was
what
down
it was.
bad.
High
We was
fashion.
down bad.
the kufi scarves. It was just a whole thing. Like, and then like
the
food,
Fallout.
but-
You mean the scarves like the Fallout Boy kind of era with the swoopy hair and a scarf?
exactly.
Scarves, yeah.
Oh yeah. If you want to know, if you really want to experience what the 2000s were like, we need to put together a graph of every year Judah Smith preached. His hairstyle represented exactly that era of generation. If you look up 2000s Judah Smith hair, that's all you need to know. That's
Dude,
the worst of the 2000s.
To this day, Judah's hairstyle is ahead of wherever we are. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, even back then, it was like...
It's a Seattle thing, though. They're the best at hair. I know that for a fact.
Did he have frosted tips?
Yeah, he did.
I don't... No, he didn't. The closest I can find... Here, I'll just share my screen. The closest I can find for frosted tips is this. It's
He
kind of
definitely went and deleted a lot. He had to.
He can't delete frosted tips off the internet.
I'm going to find it right now.
Those bangs.
My bro was going
like
hard.
an auntie.
Yeah, he definitely had like an auntie haircut. I love him too. And I was like, still like, man, that's how great of a preacher he was. I have his frosted tips right here. He was such a great pastor that you would forget that he had that type of a haircut. And you'd be like, man, he's just great. He's that
He is
good.
my favorite. He is my favorite preacher.
Absolutely one of my favorite.
And entertaining. Yeah.
Yep. Like I just sent one to the group chat, but that's what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to share my screen right now and it won't let me. I'm wondering if I have a no frosted tips blocker on my sharing.
Judah did it, man. Judah's like, nah.
You found frosted tips.
I'm telling you, there's more.
gosh.
There's a lot more. Just put hair. I love you, Judah. Like, we love you so much. And
Bring
you
back the
have
frosted tips,
poured
honestly.
into our hearts for years to come. But even you know that you're like, man, how can I escape these frosted tips?
No, I hope they
There's
make
a
a
whole
comeback.
Pinterest of Judah
Judah,
Smith's hair.
hey, I've never met you before, but they all posted pictures in the group chat of you looking like an auntie. So it's not my fault.
He had the comb over for a while, which was like,
okay, what you said this was like 2008, 2009?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if at the time though, it was like, wow, he is ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And now it's like, wow, why did that happen with your hair?
Did you find the green one?
Yeah, the green one's crazy. That's Photoshop,
It's
right?
fake.
It says fake Judah Smith. Yeah.
But even this one, the extreme comb over was like a big. But you know, when I was in barber school, they would always say Seattle is what brings out the best.
Whoa. You were in barber school?
Yeah, I was a barber at one point.
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
All I knew was about Neiman Marcus.
No, Nordstrom. So when I turned
Nordstrom.
18,
Get it right.
when I turned 18, I wanted to be a barber because I was like, I'll make my own schedule, whatever. And then I got saved, literally in barber school. And the church associates, the AG association was like, listen, we'll put you through Bible college. They liked that I did music at the time. So they're like, if you volunteer and do stuff for us, we'll fund you to go to school. So I ended up leaving barber school to go to like an AG church college thing to get a degree in leadership. Like that mattered. But anyway, so then I went there and I started doing that, but I was a barber. I would cut people's hair all the time. And then I end up using it for like outreaches and stuff like that. So long story short, they would always say they were the trend makers of hair, and he's from Seattle. So, because they always say Seattle's weather was so gloomy that people would stay indoors. So they would get their hair done a lot more. It was like a whole thing. I know, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
See, I would think that in a rainy environment, hairstyles would be less emphasized because you got to wear hats all the time, or your hair's getting wet when you go outside.
With you on that. Yeah,
like you don't want to put effort into something to get ruined.
When he came to church, he was like, "Man, this Miami weather is killing my hair. I'll never forget that." And I was like, "Dang it!" Like I felt so bad for him.
Wait,
it was like the first VU conference.
Marty, do you do your own hair now?
Heck no. But I can't find a decent barber in California like that could do it. Yeah, I can't find one. Not one that could do with Puerto Rican Italian hair. Nope, cannot do it.
That's
so
crazy.
I haven't got a haircut in a while. Anyway, this is really off topic.
That's why you always wear a hat.
Always wear a hat now in California. I'm always wearing a hat. It's a sad state of events.
And this is a side note, and it's not that I would judge you in any way,
right?
But Cameron's hat says Triumph, and I could have swore it said Trump 2 minutes ago.
Oh my God! I have a vintage motorcycle, my friend. I have a Triumph motorcycle. This is the Triumph logo.
I was like, I never seen this man rep any presidential candidate on the show.
If it was red, it would have been rough.
Yeah, they don't make that happen red
so
anymore.
it blew my mind because it was blue, but all I saw was
He's never going to wear this hat again.
Oh, I just got it in the mail the other day because I found a vintage Triumph guy online.
You went to Temu, didn't you?
No, I got it from like a motorcycle shop in California. Oh, man. Anyway. Okay. All right. That'll do it for
Relevant Buzz.
Stay tuned. Up next, Mat Kearney joins us. You're listening to Girl in Red. The song is New Love. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by Crown College, a boldly Christian and academically excellent college providing a lifelong, authentic community. Crown offers on-campus, online, and graduate programs, 18 NCAA Division III sports, international service opportunities, and a vibrant student life. Discover why Crown College is ranked top 3 in America for online Christian education. Visit crown.edu today. Well, our guest today is Mat Kearney. He's a singer-songwriter out of Nashville who's dropping his new self-titled album today. We talked to him about the new project and find out more about what he's been up to. I mean, this guy, he's been doing it for a while. Here's our conversation with Mat Kearney.
It's always interesting to me when an artist releases a self-titled project because it just feels so personal. It's either that or they couldn't come up with a name.
Somewhere between the two.
Kidding. But I'd love to know what makes this album the Mat Kearney album.
I think at first it was a named in the, usually a title appears in the process and it's very clear. It's just like there. It's just there. It's like City of Black and White. Okay, that's this record. Or Young Love. It was just I like had it written on a dry erase board the whole project a lot of the time. And this one I didn't really have anything, and I just something about it, nothing felt right. And then I was like, maybe this is like my self-titled record. This feels the most like anything I've done like that. And it wasn't until the final hour I was like, yep, this is it. We're doing it. Like there's something like it's, I don't know, risky feeling about doing that. You're like, this is me. This is definitely me. But this record definitely feels like that to me. It's the most I've worked on one, most I've produced one. I don't know. It reminds me of how I started out writing songs in many ways, like just the kid figuring it out with a guitar. So it felt like that was it. Okay, this is the Mat Kearney record.
Do you feel like this shows a new side to you or maybe like a deep one?
Well, I think it's I sent it to my bass player, Phil Moore, who's played with me for a long time. And he wrote back, he's like, this feels the most like the guy I've been hanging out with for the last 10 years of any record you've done thus far. And I was like, I didn't tell him it was self-titled either. I was like, yes, okay, that's what happened. I think I wanted it just to really, there was no like, it wasn't a concept record. It wasn't like, I know that I wanted to keep it very earnest and honest and less editing in the writing process, more kind of stream of consciousness, things that I find really interesting. You know, I wasn't as maybe the audience wasn't as loud of a factor in my ear. It was kind of more my taste in my journey that I found interesting. And it was much more, it was very organic. And I think I kind of really limited the sonic palette I wanted to work with. I wanted it to feel like guitars and pianos and drums and basses and like kind of let the songs and just the grooves kind of do the thing. I didn't want a lot of production tricks or anything like that.
Wanna make it got so low, kinda feel like I belong. You don't know when it's gonna be gone. Yeah, we got a good thing going on. Good thing going on.
What made you want to go in this direction?
I think you just, I think you follow your own curiosity is like what I do. I think a massive part of it was I've been doing a ton of these acoustic trio shows, and maybe like it was 2019, right before COVID. I think I was kind of burnt out on the process of like, okay, you make a record, you go tour it for 2 years, you go play the A markets, then, and they're the big theaters, you play the Ryman and all the cool spots and Wiltern, and then you kind of like go take your band and then you go play B markets and you like try to make it work in Memphis, and you know, no offense to anyone in Memphis, but you know, it's like you try to make it work. And I don't know, I think the B markets were just, they were they're not B to me, but just there's less people there, and you know, there's the economics are tighter. It just became, I don't know, it just wasn't as fun for me. And so I was like, you know what, I really miss doing acoustic trio stuff, or just acoustic. I'd done one acoustic tour in 2010, and I started doing it, and it became what is the trio now, which is like there's a little percussion kind of drum thing. Steve on drums, Carson. There's been a few people on keys that have rotated in and out, but it's like mostly me playing guitar, and then kind of a little bit of a rhythm section when we want it to be, in the piano plays kind of bass on his left hand, and the drummer. And it was like total stripped down to just songs. It's like there's no dance moves, there's no like, it's like kind of my banter, storytelling, and the songs. And it was like all of a sudden playing Memphis and all these places we hadn't been in a long time became so fun. You can play the theater that's small, and it's like we were in, like, it did really well, and we're like, let's see where we can go. And I was playing in Ann Arbor, or I was playing in Bar Harbor, Maine, and we just kept going. I was like, let's Interlochen, Michigan, and Santa Barbara's, and San Luis Obispo, all the cool little towns that you wouldn't maybe able to bring your full thing to. And through that, I just fell in love with, I think, realizing one of, like, a lot of what I do well, I think, is this kind of, it's like my voice, my songs, these ideas. That's it. Like distilled down. It was like your margarita pizza. It's like, this is, you got your cheese, your sauce, and your bread. Like, this is these are the three goods you have that I realize that make me unique, or that I appreciate about what I do. And so I think this full band record, I wanted to kind of, that informed a lot of it. It's like, how do we simplify down to the things I feel like are the most potent and most interesting about the craft that I do right now? Not trying to chase something out there that sounds cool, or I don't know.
Mentioned that this record reminded you a lot of when you first started out. Why is that? You know, what's stayed the same, and also what's changed about you over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, oh wow, that's a big question. I think, like, every record, if there's one thing that people who have followed my career, they're probably like, we don't quite know what we're getting from that every record. You know, like, I'll definitely, like, I started out with like a lot of hip hop influences, and then I did like a real, like, Nashville. I wanted to make a real singer-songwriter record. Then I made my Young and Love record that had like Ships in the Night on it. That had like beats, and it was like pretty epic. And so I think change has definitely been a part of what's been interesting to me. It's changing, and like my heroes have always been like Paul Simon, and people that you don't quite know what you're gonna get. Like, he's like, I'm going to Africa, I'm making a record with, you know, South African musicians. I'm going to Peru and making a record in South America. Or that's always been really interesting to me. So I think, but I think overall, like I think my craft and being able to distill ideas down, and feel like I've gotten like better at that. Like I think I understand songs. I'm in Nashville, this like song community. I understand what makes them potent and what I'm for myself and for other people. So I think that's an area I've grown a lot. I think maybe there was a period too, though, when you learn the craft too well. That doesn't sound humble, but I mean, you learn the rules too well or something. Like you pick up all the correct things, and then you're almost like not the kid anymore that's just playing and doesn't know any rules. Like you learn these skills, like, oh, you should use this scale with this, and this really works, and you kind of build your skill set. But sometimes you need to reject all that. And so what was really fun about this record is I felt like it was like this guy that's been doing it for a minute that like has this tool belt, but also I really tried to silence that and lean on the like play element of like, let's just write songs however we want. Like, oh, this like kind of reggae groove with like finger pick, like a folk song with like pedal steel and then like a weird Bob Marley groove. I'm like, yeah, why not? This is really interesting to me. And not worrying about consequences. I think that was the fun, and I think the area that I've really grown over the years, or I maybe rediscovered on this project.
And I just wanna breathe. I wanna be free, darling, like I feel in my dreams.
That was Mat Kearney. Make sure to check out his new self-titled album. It is out today, wherever you get your music. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's your feedback. You're listening to Baby Rose, Bad Bad Not Good, and Mereba. The song is Caroline. Hey, if you like this podcast, but you might like it better if there were no ads, you can do that. Head over to relevantmagazine.com and sign up for Relevant Plus. For just a couple bucks a month, you get this podcast ad-free. You get ad-free unlimited reading at relevantmagazine.com, including the full podcast and magazine archives, our beautifully designed digital issue, and a little more. Check out all the info right there on the Relevant Plus tab at relevantmagazine.com. All right, it is time for your feedback. Last week, we asked you, what's the most ridiculously dangerous thing you did as a kid? We were talking about like growing up in the woods and just lighting stuff on fire and things like that. We all got in trouble.
Yeah,
so
the
you
things
hit
we
us
all
up
did
on
as
X.
kids.
Hey, you grew up in Texas. You did dangerous stuff.
I will take it back. Okay, anyways, I don't think I did that many dangerous things.
Anyway, you hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast. Here's a few of our favorites.
Yo, so B. Radley said blowing stuff up that usually involved dry ice or M80s. Still have all my fingers though, so I'm good. Yeah,
100%
praise
on both
God.
of those.
Thrilled.
Definitely.
Back then,
Praise
we had
God.
to buy our M80s in South Carolina. So anytime we'd go on a road trip, we'd stop at the fireworks stands. Now they sell the real fireworks in Florida too. But back then, you had to go in South Carolina. And I would load up on M80s and basically little bombs and stuff. It was great. It was awesome.
Sheesh, little bombs is crazy.
That's what they are.
crazy.
They're
Oh
just
my
little.
gosh, these are crazy. I'm trying to pick one of them, but I'm like, wow, like this one right here. This one's insane. Getting dropped off as 14-year-old boys by a 16-year-old brother with a cave book, some ropes, lights, and setting a time for his return. No parental knowledge. They just bought a cave book and some rope and decided to explore a cave.
This is it. You watch Goonies one time, and you buy rope and a compass, and you get your friends, and you go explore a cave.
Listen.
You want to find a friendly stranger with a speech impediment down in the cave, but you're not going to find him.
100%.
Listen, I loved Goonies. No part of me no part of me wanted to reenact Goonies. I liked watching it from the comfort of
you
my
weren't
couch.
a boy. We all
it's
knew
a boy
that
thing.
if you explore that cave, you will find a big ship down there if you befriend the weird guy that lives in it.
We always wanted to explore.
Because even in the movies, the two girls that are like, they're very reluctant to go along. And they're like, I guess we'll go. But like, they're not leading the way at all.
So Isabel has one that's crazy. She says, so there was a massive construction site in our neighborhood and we couldn't resist sneaking in to explore. We climbed towering cranes, balanced on narrow beams, and even tried our hand at operating heavy machinery, luckily without success. Looking back, we were lucky to escape without any serious injuries.
Wow.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
Getting into the equipment. Yeah, I didn't do that.
She was going to flatten a whole house or person. Like,
Wait, okay. Speaking of flattening the house, okay, Daniel said, I was really into Mission Impossible. I decided to reenact the scene where he hangs from the ceiling to hack the computer. So I tied myself with a jump rope and tried to hang from the ceiling fan. I brought down the ceiling fan and a part of the ceiling on top of me.
Daniel, hey, if you haven't tried to swing from a fan as a kid, you didn't live. I did the same thing.
I definitely tried
Daniel
to
stop the story there. Were you in the hospital? Like, how long?
Yeah, there's a lot of follow-up questions we have from
the follow-up questions.
I just watched A Star Is Born. The idea of a rope and a ceiling fan is
oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, just think of a good steak. I don't know. You get a steak to the dog. There's a couple of them. There's another one here that's a little crazy. Like this one we try to do for sure. So I don't know if one winter we got the brilliant idea to turn our street into an ice skating rink. We flooded the road with hoses until it froze solid, then spent hours racing around on our skates. It was all fun and games until someone's wiped out and smacked their head on the ice. Not also mentioning in the story that imagine the cars going through, trying to drive on this ice road. No one thought about that.
All of a sudden, there's a rink in the middle of the road.
And the guy's like this, just like turning. And
maybe it was
what
a
were you thinking,
cul-de-sac or
kids?
something. Maybe it was just like a little
But even still,
Hopefully.
I mean, like that cold to get wow, that's just kids. We just don't. That's like when we played Manhunt and we were hiding in people's bushes, and people were like, "Are people robbing me right now?" And it's like I'm in a bush, and I remember the cop was flashing the light, and I was just like hiding, and he didn't even see me, and I just went home. Didn't even tell anybody. I just went home. I just did an Irish exit and just got out of there.
All right. Well, there's more where that came from. Go check it out. Okay, it's time for this week's
Editorial question of the week.
Well, okay, so this is an interesting. Normally, we try to keep every episode self-contained, but last episode we played a game where Emily and people on the internet sent in, showed us mainly you, really cringe Hinge profile prompts, and we played a game last episode of is this a Hinge profile prompt that AI wrote, or was this a real one that we screenshotted that people saw in the wild? It got us thinking, we want to know the worst Hinge profile dating app profiles that y'all have seen in real life. You screenshotted it. Mm-hmm. So hit us up on X and at Relevant Podcast and tell us the worst cringeworthy dating prompts, dating profile bios that you have come across. There you go.
Unfortunately, I do have more that I can submit. So
good. You supplement the feedback next week.
Got it.
Sheesh.
The podcast got so much reaction. We actually took that game and took all those real screenshots and did an article on the website of like,
that's great.
Y'all, these are real. Like gracious. For real. Here's the actual screenshots. These are real.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Derek, it was stuff like, guy put on there, like, I'm looking for a Proverbs 31 woman in the streets and a Song of Solomon woman in the sheets. Stuff like that.
No, that don't exist, bro.
No,
that ain't a real.
No, that's what I've seen.
Real one.
That's what I've seen.
Emily matched with this guy.
No, I did not.
He had one leg. It was really weird.
No way.
No.
Proverbs 31
There's no
woman
way
in the
that exists,
streets.
bro. I refuse to believe it exists. Don't text it to me.
I still think my favorite is the guy who said, "My love language is English." That one makes me laugh.
Yeah.
You're going to go back and try to find him.
So, Derek, the thing that I didn't know this. So, Hinge in particular, you don't just write a bio. It's not like Tinder or whatever. It's they ask you survey questions, like prompt questions. Mm-hmm. So, like, my love language is blank. the thing you don't know about me is blank, and, whatever. And so now you can kind of get to know the person. So this guy, so the prompt said, my love language is blank. And the guy put English. He, I guess, didn't see the word love language.
Right. He just said my language
is English.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right.
Love it.
Now this makes sense. It's more because I don't know.
That's crazy. I don't think we
Okay.
clarified this on the game. For people who aren't on, this is important to know. There are probably like 50 prompts you get to choose from. You pick 3 of them. So like these are not ones.
Oh, so I thought it was like 20 that everybody fills out.
Nope. There's like 50 different prompts. You choose the 3 that you want. So these people looked through 50 prompts.
Yeah, they decided
picked those 3 and were like, this is really what's going to get me.
So this guy is so adamant that he only wants English speaking matches that he saw. My love language is English. Like, you need to know that about me.
Yeah. What was his name? You said it was Charlie Kirk? You said his name was Charlie. He's like born on January 6th.
All right. Well, there you go. Hit us up. We'll read our favorites on the next show. All right. Before we wrap up, I know we got to wrap it, but we purposefully didn't play the Joel Osteen Kendrick diss because even though I think that's hilarious, I didn't want to spend 48 minutes of this podcast y'all talking about this stupid rap beef. So I just want you to know why we didn't bring it up today. But Joel Osteen, if y'all don't know. Yeah, exactly. Joel Osteen got name dropped in Kendrick's Drake diss. So.
Wait a minute, Cameron. You be the main one in the chat.
You were really excited about that. I saw the whole thing form from, wow, look, he said
out.
it, to 5 minutes later, Relevant Magazine.
I'm like,
did Kendrick?
Like,
I was like, wow.
I was
Emily,
like, y'all are not giving this enough.
This man was spazzing in
Give
the
me
chat.
the tea. Give me the
Just
tea.
but he's just on the opposite side. Like he's like the old man, get off my lawn spazzing.
Poking the bear.
We like get off
Here's
my
the
lawn,
issue. If you go on social media and you're in like rap social media, everybody's like, Kendrick this, yeah, Kendrick crushed him, he's dead, da, da, da. And I'm like, I just saw the groupthink snowball. It's just like, objectively, this isn't that great. I don't know, like, really, guys? Or do we all just have to like get in line and agree with
two things
that
I know
this
about
is epic?
this? The 2 things I know about the recent Kendrick diss is, one, he accidentally name dropped Joel Osteen. Probably one of the funniest things a rapper's ever done.
That's hilarious to me.
The second
amazing.
is people comparing, I guess, a certain line to the soliloquy from 10 Things I Hate About You, which one of my favorite rom-coms. But I do think it's this right here is actually a printout of that poem. So it's very funny.
Drake was the one who did that. Yeah, Drake was
Drake's
the one who did
response
that.
to Kendrick posting this movie clip of her reading this terrible hate poem.
It's hilarious.
So funny. The best possible response. Because it just deflates all the guys who are taking this super seriously. It's just like,
and that's what a funny person does. That's what.
Yes.
That's why I've been seeing online. It's like, yeah, no more funny. This is serious. I'm like, what you don't understand is if you're funny, you will win. And I told the guys last time, like, look at Tyler the Creator when he was beefing with DJ Khaled. Like, it was hilarious to laugh at. It made Khaled look really dumb because Khaled took it serious. And then you have this guy who's like, we the best, making fun of him. It's hard to fight that.
The thing is, here's another thing I just thought about. I wonder if Kendrick knew about that as well. I wonder if this is all a big joke. Like, this feels like a big joke to me at this point. We got AI, we got all this crap, and we got back catalogs of both of these artists doing, I'm talking...
They're all top 10.
Crazy
all
numbers.
back on the top 10.
Like, the numbers are going crazy.
Taylor Swift, Drake,
this feels
Kendrick.
like all of the gas companies coming together and setting a price for what gas is going to be today.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this feels like.
And this is the first release under Kendrick's independent label that he licensed.
What if all of them got together and they're like, all right, bro, we're going to make sure that you do well since you left Top Dog Entertainment.
I'm telling you,
Let's start a beef. And they just start this beef because Drake just started that new thing too. The new little label with the guy
This is
from
like
Apple.
Tidal, where Jay-Z brought out Kanye West and Rihanna behind him. This is what it's starting to feel like, the same energy as that.
Man,
Dude,
they set the gas prices on us, man.
And I think you're right it could be right because there's no beef.
Yeah,
like it's
a
not
friendly,
like Kendrick,
friendly
it's like
fade,
Kendrick didn't take Drake's woman. Like there's no actual beef. They're rapping. It's rich dudes rapping about you're corny, you have small feet. Who cares? Like y'all.
No, they're literally reading poems to each other. That's what's going on.
People poems.
But yo, think about this. Kendrick literally said in the song that I'm watching my two friends hug and kiss on stage. I don't want to be like YNW Melly and hurt my own friends. Like, he's admitting that we're friends while he's dissing them. Like, this is a joke. The gas companies are setting the gas prices.
Take Care has a solo song by Kendrick on it where he talks about meeting. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were talking about earlier I was talking about someone else, like one of Kendrick's management team is like Chubb's cousin, who Chubbs manages Drake. So it's like, could this all be a plan? I don't know.
The longer it goes, the more I feel like it is. But the thing that is hilarious to me of the dynamic that's now emerging is it's almost like the high school lunch tables where it's like you got this super serious guy who's really mad about whatever, and I'm going to come confront you, and the dude just clowns him and is laughing at him. And it gets the guy more and more mad, or like his friends get really mad. And it's just like, we're laughing at you for taking this so seriously. It's like, calm down, man, Well,
I said this in the chat that we're all high schoolers again. We're all fans and friends of. It's like watching wrestling. Like, it's like you're fighting for your favorite wrestler to win, and you're waiting for every Tuesday for SmackDown to come on. Like, that's why I don't even think Kendrick doesn't even seem like he's too frustrated. The people that are mad, it's the Kendrick fans.
Exactly.
The Kendrick fans are worse than the Swifties, dude. Like, I mean, I'm talking about it. It's no lie.
They're as bad as Laker fans. They're as bad as Knicks fans. Crazy. It is like,
but then the Drake fans are just as bad. So it's not even Drake versus Kendrick that's going crazy. It's the fan bases that are like, my guy is better than your guy.
Yep.
I like both of them, so it's like hilarious.
Honestly, I think that's a lot of fan base. Like, not to make it all about Swifties, but like Swifties versus like Beyonce fans and stuff. Like, that's always like a competition. And it's like, why are we fighting? They're friends. Like,
it's true.
What is this about?
Yeah, after that song, Kendrick bought a size 8 shoe immediately after he dropped that song. He felt like I was
Marty's
the man.
workshopping material on Twitter right now because I saw
is it
him
working or no? It didn't do anything. It didn't do good.
I'm waiting for Marty.
You're recycling jokes. You're recycling jokes on the podcast. I
want to see maybe if it's some things are better when it's set out, and some things are just better when you read it.
It's like, I only got 17 likes on Threads. I'm going to throw this into the podcast.
It didn't get really any likes, to be frank with you. That's why I'm trying to there's still life in this joke, right? Yeah, it's got to be right. Is it too late? I don't know.
Oh man! All right.
Now I see why you didn't want to talk about this on the show.
Now, if we did that at the beginning, that would have been the podcast. So I took it at the end. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Mat Kearney for joining us today. Make sure to check out his self-titled album. It came out today, wherever you get your music. It's really good. Also, make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com every weekday, where we are covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. And make sure to follow us on all the socials so you don't miss a thing. All right, on that note, we'll wrap it. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Derek Miner.
I'm Emily Brown.
I'm Marty.
We will see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Relevant Podcast Network.